Good afternoon, everybody. I have to read my presentation out loud because I don't want to forget about anything. Honorable Health Minister and other guests, the Children's Fund of the Tartu University Hospital, all the employees of the Children's Hospital, and everybody listening to and watching the broadcast or being present here and having some kind of touch point with the genetic diseases. It's an honor to be here, and I would like to thank the Children's Foundation of the Tartu University Hospital for everything you do for our children every day. My family is just an example of fulfilling a child's dream. I asked some time ago from my eldest son what he wanted from life. What was his life's dream? And he replied that he didn't want to cough ever again. And this dream has remained to be the same. And in autumn last year, he was able to fulfill that dream thanks to the treatment. He has basically no cough. It was a change from one day to another, basically. And those who donate to the Children's Foundation saved my son's life, literally. You saved his life, you gave him back a normal life. So you are all life saviors, and you should be recognized as such. But our journey was not easy at all. It was a constant struggle for life, for each pound of body weight, for each breath that my son drew. And I want to tell you about the story of my eldest son. You can see him here on the pictures. And he was born with a mixed form of cystic fibrosis. It has respiratory and gastrointestinal impacts, and currently there's no complete treatment, but there are different ways to keep the disorder under control. And I don't want to paint a negative picture, of course. Even though we've had great challenges, we were always hopeful and did everything we could to fight the disease. It is important to understand we have expectations for our government, children have expectations for their parents, employees have expectations for their employers, etc. And in developed countries, these expectations are met as well as possible, be it by ensuring the safety or security of the citizens. And the patients are also entitled to expect to get the best treatment available. That was the case of our family as well. We had the same expectation to have Kaftrio treatment with state help. And Alexander was born early due to complications, and he was in intensive care for a while right after being born, but we didn't know at first that he also had cystic fibrosis. And a very well-known surgeon performed the surgery on my son, Dr. Mari Maya. Thank you so much for saving our son's life, for fixing him. Well, at first, our son didn't gain any weight, and for the first 8 months of his life, he had to spend all the time in the hospital. But and the cystic fibrosis diagnosis came when he was about 2 years old, and we started different treatments for different organic organ systems. Inhalation was something that we did constantly to keep the lungs functioning at an acceptable level. We have used these medicines for the whole lifetime of my son. We continue with some of them also today. We avoid crowded places. My son leads a very strict diet. It's a daily effort, but we are motivated by the hope that there's ongoing research to find an effective treatment, and that someday we would be able to use that treatment, to have access to the treatment to improve our child's quality of life, or even get rid of most of the symptoms. Accepting this reality took some time. It's still an ongoing process, especially because in the beginning, the quality of life wasn't affected too much, but bit by bit, the symptoms got stronger, and it started affecting him more. He was tired, he had weight problems, etc., etc. And it is almost impossible to explain to a child why there are restrictions and limits that he has to consider. We have had many fights over the topic of following a treatment, being disciplined, but we always supported each other. The episodes got worse step by steps. They aggravated, and now in the last years it was a constant thing. During the episodes, the lungs don't function very well. The function is inhibited, and there's not enough oxygen in the blood. So my son has to be taken to a hospital, and it is a life-threatening hypoxia. My son is also very tired often. He gets angry very easily. Last year, I remember I proposed to play a board game to make him a bit more active, but even moving the pieces of the game was difficult. And going to the third floor, it was a big effort. Cystic fibrosis has entailed three big problems. So it's development, growing, weight, and coughing. Coughing has been permanent, and even antibiotics haven't helped in recent years. Previously, it had helped for some time, but not anymore. My son had to stop going to school. He couldn't lead a normal life. During the COVID-19 pandemic, even though he was coughing, we couldn't, or while he was coughing, we couldn't go to different places like to do any sports, for example, because otherwise he's very active, very sportive. He was coughing day and night, and finally he had cramps or started throwing up. And he had digestive problems. And last year, my son weighed only about 30 kilos. You can see it on the picture. This is not a fit boy. but we are talking about a boy that has threateningly low levels of body fat, and there's little we can do about it. We are usually not a family that complains a lot. On the contrary, we work constantly for a better future. We work with different people, with my wife, and we keep on going. But as I mentioned, past years have been especially difficult, and we need better ways to get efficient treatment. Already in 2020, actually, Kaftrio became available. This is meant uh, for patients with cystic fibrosis. It got the EU market authorization. We were aware of that fact, and we talked to our doctor to see if we could maybe use it, hoping for the medicine to be included in the list of reimbursed medicines, but nothing has happened since. And we have also contacted the ministry, but to no avail. And as we still have the expectations as citizens that our country, our state should help us in a situation where we cannot manage on our own. But surprisingly, the reply we got from the Health Insurance Fund was the following: including the medicine in the list of reimbursed medicines has been discussed in the committee. But the conclusion was that even though availability could be improved, it's not cost efficient enough. Therefore, the application didn't go through, and the price negotiations with the producers continue, and it will depend on the producer whether they can lower the price. For us, it was like the end of the world. We're shocked because, as you can see, from the regulatory perspective, the treatment is not specifically regulated. There's no concrete threshold that is applied. No criterion that would make it possible for the Health Insurance Fund to include it in the list. For 3 years, negotiations have continued without basically any result at all. But now, for over 4 months, we've been using Kaftrio, and we've seen the cost efficiency, the benefits. All the formulas and principles that the health insurance funds use in their practices don't correspond to what we've seen. There have been no explanations about those correlations that they use. I would like to tell you about the efficiency level using my son's own words. I have no thoughts in my head considering how I can draw my next breath, thinking about how to get enough air. I don't have to think about not being able to go on with my life. This is how he described his state of mind, how he described his world. He didn't weigh enough, he didn't have enough oxygen in his system, He didn't want to do anything. He was passive, even with daily routines like such washing up or even sleeping, eating. But after these 4 months with Kaftrio, daily treatment has enabled to give my son back a normal level of life, a normal life. He's back in school. He's planning for his future to continue his studies. He's happy. He trains regularly. He has gained weight, namely almost 20 kilograms in these 4 months. His cough is almost inexistent. During the 3 4 months, he didn't cough almost at all. And this list goes on. So I had never imagined that we could achieve this kind of efficiency overnight, basically. Probably we won't need the rest of the medicines that we've been using, and probably our son can be a useful citizen to the state in the future. So this is also beneficial to the country. He won't be in a hospital suffering from a disease. He won't have to see his life cut short. And also the fact that our family has a better quality of life, isn't that cost efficiency as well? We don't have to go to another country to find the ways for treatment. We have no fights in our family. We are not thinking about quitting our jobs to take care of our son. So cost efficiency should take into account that we have citizens that are able to contribute to the society by working, by participating. And we are talking about the whole family here. Even one family member not being able to actively live their life affects the whole family. So I would encourage you to have the same approach to this cost efficiency, to this notion, taking into account all the details and all the context. When we look at the different member states in the European Union, then we can see that Kaftrio is on the list in several countries. How come is it possible that it's not the case in Estonia? How is it possible that there are so big differences between the countries? I would like to offer myself as a volunteer to help you finalize those negotiations that have been going on for 3 years, causing suffering to people, to your own citizens. On the other hand, I understand that not everything is black and white, and different institutions have worked a lot on the topic of adding this medicine and other medicines on the list of reimbursed medicinal products. There are so many different treatments, yes, and we have used other medicines from that list, but of course they are not the cheapest option in the world. For example, the treatments to gain weight. Institutions such as the Health Insurance Fund, but also other institutions are able to make Kaftrio and other treatments available to the patients. I'm sure that our family story is not the most complicated story ever, but I hope that this is an example of how the cost efficiency that the institutions use can actually be proven wrong. And I didn't bring Alexander here with me today. It's a school holiday, so I wanted to leave him have let him rest. But I hope that my account of the story has been inspirational for you and maybe change your approach in the fight. And the next picture shows the situation approximately 1 month after starting the treatment with Kaftrio. And he actually came to me with the Estonian championship to, and got really good results. So I really wish strength to all of you that have touch points with such stories and fights, and I'm willing to reply to any questions you might have. Thank you very much. Does anybody have a question for Vladimir? No questions? Oh, yes, there is one question or a remark.
Jaa, mul on üks
Go ahead,
tähelepanek,
please.
et ma loodan, et
I have a remark.
seda sinu väga-väga ägedat kõne on võimalik lugeda,
Your
sest et muide
presentation, your
see on
speech was
materjalides, mis
just
on täiesti
awesome. Is
väärt
it possible to
kõikide
have it
lugemist, sest need
on
sinu
paper? I think
ettepanekud
so.
ja
It would
mõttekäigud
be
olid
nice if everybody could have
nii
access to your
terased ja nii
speech
teravad.
because it was really
südamest
on
hea
the
meel,
point.
et teie pere on praegu sellises
And
seisus
I'm sincerely
ja
happy
ma isegi ei ole kade,
about
kui te olete
how the
rasedad ja mul ei ole
situation of
seda
your
lugu
family
näha,
has
lihtsalt nii hea
changed.
meel teie pärast.
I don't envy you truly. I'm just really, truly happy for you. Yes, thank you. I'm always willing to cooperate. I will share my speech for sure somehow, maybe through the Children's Foundation. One more question, Vladimir. You saw the new selection criteria. Now, considering those criteria, would the Kaftrio be added on the list? If I'm not wrong, it wouldn't be the case unless it was considered as ultra-rare orphan medicine or as a medicine with great benefits for the patient. So these new criteria are indeed a step forward, but we have to look for additional ways so that Kaftrio can make the list as well. Another round of applause, please.